Hello grapplers! Today we're gonna talk about knee hammer, which is forward medium kick. The basics. What is knee? Knee is a 14 frame move. That is the startup. It is active for 7 frames and the recovery is 14 frames. So for a move, it has actually pretty fast recovery, considering that other moves are, for example, just this one, crouching medium punch, 16 frames of recovery. So there are some moves that have bigger recovery than knee. That is something you have in mind. Although, since this move and the whole animation of the move is kinda very recognizable by the opponent, they can still punish you with sweeps, basically anything. It's very easy to whiff punish. So we're gonna get into that, how you can use it without risking yourself that much. We'll see a few examples of how to use it. Thing is, this move is active for 7 frames, right? So the problem with this is that if you hit someone during the first frames of this move, you're gonna be always minus. Either -4, maybe -2 if you kinda space it correctly, but most of the time you're gonna be minus. So if you do it really close to the opponent, as you can see that is -4, you're gonna get punched by lights. The move is actually intended for you to bait lows, because actually this move low crushes. If you play Tekken before, basically low crushes means that your move can beat lows from frame 7 to 23, so it is a large window to beat lows. It's not actually used to react to lows, it's more like space yourself correctly, that if the opponent chooses to go for a low, you're gonna basically jump, quote unquote, over it. And I say jump quote unquote because the move is not actually airborne. Let's see first how can you space it on block. The first thing and the most obvious one is being really close to them. Use 3 lights. The last light has to be a crouching light punch, so you can do this or just spam 3 lights. These lights chain, so the opponent cannot match anything between these moves. And from here you can do a knee that is actually +2. This is the easiest way of landing the plus frame knee. With that +2, you can grab them. You're in range for SPD, strong SPD, medium SPD, OD SPD, any SPDs. Or you can threaten the opponent with a frame trap with crouching light kick, which is a 2 frame trap. That's one way. The other way is being really close and using drive rush, crouching medium punch into standing light punch like this, and you're gonna be just in range for also a +2 knee. Those are the most used ways of actually landing the plus knee on block. It has a startup. The knee has a startup of 14 frames basically, which means you're really open to a lot of buttons. You are gonna be likely clipped by some medium punches, probably some crouching light kicks that go really far, so you have to be careful about this. Also knee, since it's so slow, is very susceptible to drive impact. Have that in mind also. So it's not something you need to do all the time, but keep that in mind. You have to use it because it's the easiest way to use the knee plus on block. If you hit the opponent, you can do the same setup with crouching medium punch, which in this case is a combo, and that is +6. As you know, this is usually 0, so that's one way. And the other one is using 4 lights. The last light has to be a crouching light punch. As you can see, 4 lights, and that is +6. Just remember that you're +6. So if you do it really fast, you're not gonna connect because the opponent is still in hit stun. So you have to wait a few frames, 2 frames to be exact, in order for your SPD to actually work. For combos, you can technically go into crouching light punch because that's 6 frames, and you can drive rush and go for a combo, something like that. The damage is not that high. I would recommend going for that combo if you want to spend 2 bars of meter, so basically super 2 in order to do more damage. But otherwise, it's not that strong. It's more like using the plus frames to do something with them. That is on hit and on block. Now, what about how do you space it without buttons? And this is kind of complicated. You have to get used to the perfect distance, and this only happens when you use knee a lot and you get used to how knee works. The basic rule I can tell you is never use it here or here. You're always going to be minus. So when do you want to use it? At least from this space. If you consider the middle of the screen, from here. That is like a few steps away from the opponent. As you can see here, you're safe or either plus. You can technically go for the Street Fighter V Classic, which is just match super after the knee, but be careful about that because you're not technically, you don't have any kind of plus frames. The opponent can actually jab you if they know that is something you want to do, so be careful about that. You can do it, especially if the opponent is scared. Now, that is the regular knee. How do you use the knee after drive rush? That type of knee, the DR knee, is only performed after certain setups. Oops. Sorry. DR plus 3. You can also use it after Super 1. That is also plus. Depending on how you how slow you do the knee, you can either be from +1 to +3 to +4. So there's a little bit of jiggle room over there, but you're gonna be plus. 2 ways of actually landing the DR knee. You can do it raw, as you know, but you have to be careful about the distance. And this is actually pretty hard to calculate in order to get the perfect +6 or +5 even, like this. So be careful how you land this knee. Now, the other use for knee is as a frame killer. To frame kill a few frames in order to get better OT. Maybe the most classic example is after OD Lariat. From here you're +4, which means, well, strong SPD whiffs, but you can do medium and OD and light SPDs. That is one way of doing so. The other also very classic situation is after a punish counter sweep. If you knee, you're gonna be plus. If you do it perfectly, you're gonna be +11, which means you can get a headbutt over here. A Russian suplex if you relate it a little bit. If you use knee to kill frames, as you can see here, the total frames of this move are 34. Compare that to dash, which is 22 frames. Basically, this means that if you go for any kind of Oki with knee, you're gonna be less plus. Usually +4, +1, you're gonna be in those ranges. If you dash after your Oki, more likely you're gonna be either +10, +11, and you can see that very easily going to a corner where a lot of things happen with Gief. If you do Spine Buster and you dash after Spine Buster, you're gonna be +11. If you knee, you're gonna be minus. So keep that in mind when you work with your Oki. Knee is gonna either give you less than +4, so it is more likely that you can just SPD right away, while dash gives you way more plus frames. You're not gonna move as forward as knee, but you're gonna have more frames. And finally, the other way of using knee is by comboing. Now you can combo into it depending on how you land your combos. You can combo like that. Right here to kill 50 frames. As a continuation, as a follow-up for Super 2. To get a little bit more damage. This I only recommend doing if you do the super 2 raw, like to catch a fireball, so you do a little bit more damage. Otherwise, this actually lowers the total damage if you do it inside a combo, so don't go for this if it's not a raw super 2. Since you drive rush and you move forwards so much, you can technically catch back jumps with knee, which is pretty cool if you actually do it. Let's put here backwards jump. For example, let's do 2 lights. You can do something like that, totally. And if you're gonna use it within the setups, just remember that it is mostly a gimmicky situation. You can land a few things with side switches with knee, but you are gonna be really tight in terms of the options you have. Usually you can grab the opponent with SPD or use crouching light kick. Those are most of the situations when you go for gimmicky setups, which I'm not gonna show here because there's some videos on YouTube where they show you the exact gimmicky setups that I wouldn't advise go for them that often, but you can definitely use knee for those. Don't spam it. That's the thing. Don't go for it that much, especially when you're far from the opponent. Like from here, if you go for a knee, the opponent most likely are going to react. A Guile might be waiting for flash kick you. Chun-Li can be buffering the super. Some characters can either use Tatsumaki or just Shoryuken or grab you, so be careful about that. It is not a move to spam, it is a move to get close when you're in the perfect range, or just to bait a situation that might happen. For example, if you are over here, most likely after light SPD, you can do knee to see if the opponent reacts with a parry, drive impact or something. Otherwise, be careful about knee, but it is a move that you have to use, because it is a very interesting way of landing SPD, since people expect that to be -4 when you are plus. They usually don't expect it, so you can use it for frame traps and other things. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you. And, you know, keep playing Gief. See you, grapplers.